So let's go to
World team members.
world team members. We've got several of
USA
them.
Wrestling's Athlete of the Week.
USA Wrestling's Athlete of the Week is, drum roll, who is it, Eric?
Bo Bassett.
Bo Bassett. Of course it's Bo Bassett. Bo Bassett doubles up, wins the cadet freestyle world team trials, but also goes doubles up and does Greco as well. Eric,
Just
first
for
of
the
all,
heck of it.
were you surprised that he did as well as he did in Greco-Roman, or were you not so surprised?
I I am and I'm not, because I've seen Bo Bassett for the past, 8 years. I know what he's capable of. I know how good he is. Probably more so than most of the rest of the nation did before this weekend. So it doesn't surprise me. What does surprise me is the guy that he dominated in the finals was kind of a Greco specialist almost.
Mm,
Like, whenever he dominated like that, and then he ended up facing the same kid again
in the
in the
freestyle.
freestyle finals. So it's not like Mauger is completely a Greco specialist. He's obviously a really good wrestler in his own right. But whenever Bo Bassett beat him, I think it was 8-0 and pinned him in the Greco finals. I'm like, well, this freestyle thing, I don't think that's going to work out too well for him, because Bo's, that's more his specialty. I think if you ask Bo, freestyle is his best style, better than folk style, definitely better than Greco. Freestyle is where he wants to be.
Right. Yeah. So he wins it 7-1 in the first round, 11-2 and by fall. So yeah, I mean he dominated.
Yeah, no, that first one was a pin too, right? He didn't
Oh
he didn't
yeah,
go
yeah.
4 minutes with anybody.
No, you're right.
Yeah,
He
he
didn't
had
make
he had
it.
7 techs and 2 pins on the weekend.
You're right. He did. But he's not the only one. Caden Williams from Manheim Township had a great tournament. And, Caden and Camden have wrestled in all of the youth tournaments in both freestyle and Greco Roman. But again, you just kind of say, well, at this level, it's like you got to be pretty committed to Greco, in my opinion, to make a world team. Caden Williams does that. He wins 11-9 over Tragan Morin. He beats him 11-9, then loses to him in a wild match 14-11. In the third and final decisive match, he beats him 9-4 to make a cadet world team in Greco-Roman. He was a state champion this year at 106. He's wrestling 51 kilos in cadets. Very impressed by him as well, Eric.
Yeah, and I'll be the first to admit I didn't really know, what Caden Williams was going to be like in Greco. And that really impressed me to see him go out there and win a Greco title and get on that team. And then, kind of say, okay, not going to worry about freestyle. We've got the Greco title in the bag. We're headed to Budapest.
Yeah, I mean, I would be lying if I said I wasn't slightly. I kind of wanted to see him in freestyle, because I'm thinking, here he's going to double up and do what Bo Bassett did.
Right.
Because I think in reality he would have been in the mix, but that's how many days you got to weigh in.
Well,
You're
yeah,
made a
and
world
that's
team.
the big part. That's one of the real tough things, is that Greco was Friday, and then you had the 2-day freestyle tournament. So you got to make scratch weight 3 days in a row.
Yeah.
And this isn't the summer wrestling where you're like, well, I'll show up and see what I weigh and decide on my weight class then. I mean, this is one of the toughest tournaments anywhere.
Yeah.
And so these guys are really cutting to get down to their optimal weight, and to do that 3 days in a row is not easy by any stretch.
No, not at all. And if you were to tell me PA was going to have the same amount of wrestlers on the world team in freestyle as Greco-Roman, I'd probably say you're crazy. But that's what it is, right? So
Yeah.
it is what it is.
And again,
right?
it's just a simple matter where there are a lot of good wrestlers in the U.S.
Yeah.
And we like to think we have a better amount of them here than anywhere else.
But we
But
do.
the simple fact is there are a lot of really good wrestlers in the U.S., and we still had more than Iowa. So,
Yeah, eat
we
that,
got that
Dyson.
in our favorite Dyson. Yeah.
Dyson, you're fired. You know what? You're fired.
Wow.
You're fired. You're fired.
No, you're not, Dyson.
All right, you're not.
We
fired.
love you, Dyson.
But seriously, like, get off of Iowa. It's
Yeah.
now, at this point, it's just dumb. Greco-Roman, 2 wrestlers going to Budapest from Pennsylvania in freestyle. As we talked about, Bo Bassett, he gets let's see, a tech in 50 seconds, a fall in a minute 38. Yeah, tech fall in 1 minute 38, and then tech in 3:04 to make it to the finals, where again he wrestled Mauger. that I would say Mauger was. I'd say he wrestled him at least in the last match, because Bassett
Hmm.
teched him 10-0 in the first one. Second match, yeah, he hung in there with him. So, but man, it's hard to. Bo Bass is winning a world title. I'm just saying that. I just think that's going to happen. I can't see how anyone stops him. He's just looked that good, and that's probably why he won the USA Wrestling Athlete of the Week.
Yeah, I mean, he was incredible. And as I said, he's a kid that, being in my backyard, I've been following him since he was 8, 9 years old. So it's really kind of cool to see, especially like wrestling Twitter, just all of a sudden explode in the Bo Bassett love, and they've all just kind of like, wow, this kid's incredible. I'm like, yeah, yeah, he's been that way. Like,
Yeah,
kids,
yes.
he's good at wrestling.
Yeah, no, he really is, and I think the world is really going to start finding out about that. And he's in seventh grade, right? So he's got a lot of wrestling ahead of him. 48
Well, and
pounds.
that's the thing. Like
Oh,
he
sorry.
actually could have been in the under 15 tournament.
Yes,
You know,
right.
he was sort of wrestling up here in Cadet.
Yeah,
He